guys, it's Miss Lady Lace here on my glamour channel, and today I have the next video in my pinup posing series, where today we're going to be discussing posing with props. Whether you're on stage or in a photo shoot, a prop is a fabulous addition to really make whatever you're doing pop. Today I'm going to be focusing on handheld props, but I do plan on making some larger prop videos in the future, as well as a few videos on posing with chairs and other items like this. In the comments below, I'd love to know if you'd like to see more videos in my pinup posing series and if there's any particular topics you'd like covered. This is a regular feature here on my channel, and I have a whole series of videos including your basic pinup poses, arm lines, leg lines, posing with your hands, and so much more. When it comes to prop use, there's a few different ways you can use your item. You can use it in a traditional manner, so if you had a cup of tea, you'd be drinking from that teacup. You could also use this in a silly manner. For instance, you could be filling up that teacup and missing it completely, creating something a little bit more funny. You can act like you're selling your item. You could have your teacup up on your hand, holding it, so this is the item that you're selling in the image or performance on stage that you're portraying. You can also tell a story with your prop. For instance, you could be sitting down, pop out a picnic blanket and have a beautiful picnic on stage or in your photo shoot. You can pick one, two, or all of these methods of portraying your prop for whatever you're using it for. It's a really fabulous idea to either look online at websites like Pinterest or look throughout some vintage books at some vintage photos for inspiration for posing with props. I thought it'd be a fabulous idea to also demonstrate some classic pinup props and how I'd pose with them. I have 3 items: a vintage bag, a vintage teacup, and a vintage parasol, and I'm going to go through each item and pose 3 different ways with that item. Posing with props is utterly fabulous, but it is definitely a little bit trickier than just posing with your body. When posing with a prop, you both have to think about how you look, how you're posing with that prop, and how it both highlights you and that prop together. You want to ensure that you're not blocking your body in any way with your prop, unless it's a part of your plan and you're about to do a reveal on stage or in your photo shoot. If you're new to posing as a pinup, I would definitely recommend watching at least my classic pinup poses videos, just so you get an idea of the basic body alignment to get those classic lines. For prop number 1, we have a teacup and a saucer. I'd recommend, if you're using this for a stage performance, to find a plastic one or find a way of really getting this to stick to the plate when you don't want it to fall off, as there's nothing worse than this item falling on stage and breaking. For pose number 1, it can be done in any position, sitting or standing. I'm going to start sitting on my knees on the floor. I angle that away from the camera or the audience. I'm going to pick up my teacup holding the saucer. I'm going to have that gently placed in my hand, and I have the teacup in my right hand. I have this across my body, but I'm not allowing it to cover too much. And with the teacup hand, I'm using my thumb and pointer finger to grip this and letting my other fingers gently drape along the side, so I still have an elegant hand. And I can pose with this next to my face like I'm about to take a drink or I'm chatting with a friend next to me. I can move my body around and see what looks best in this pose. For our next pose, I'm going to lie onto the side of my body, extending my bottom leg. The top leg is going to sit over the top of this. I'm going to relax into this arm, giving it a slight bend so it's not overextended. And I'm going to hold my teacup up to the side like it's an advert for this glamorous teacup. Next, I'm going to jump up. I'm going to pretend this is a portrait crop, so the photographer's cropping above the belly button. I'm going to take one hand to my cheek and I'm going to do a surprise pinup face. If you're unsure how to achieve this, I think I do have a facial expression video up on YouTube, but we're just going to go ooh to get that perfect round lip look. And I'm going to pop my teacup upside down and go ooh. When doing this pose, I'm either surprised that I've run out of tea, or I'm chatting with some friends and I'm spilling the tea. Next up, we have our parasol prop, and I'm going to start with this item closed. We're going to go into our classic pinup position, one hand on our hip, one hand on our parasol, and we're just going to lightly lean into this. For a bonus pose, we can also turn and face the item and create a cute little booty pop pose. Next, we'll open up our parasol, and if you're performing on stage, this is a great opportunity to have a bit of fun. You can have a comical moment where it's not opening and you can tell your prop off. and then get it to open up on stage. A classic pose with an open parasol is to have it draped over one shoulder, and we could put the other hand on the other hip and have it highlighting us like so. A few things to be aware of when you have a parasol prop is make sure that you're not blocking your body too much or blocking yourself from the camera unless it's intentional, and also be aware of where the umbrella top part of this is. If it's blocking your light source, it'll affect how that image or show looks. So we can pose around with our prop and have a little bit of fun here. If you're on stage, one of my favorite things to do is to give that parasol a bit of a twirl, and we can spin it around to the opposite side. Finally, for a little bit more of a comical moment, whether on stage or in a photo shoot, you can pretend that your umbrella is blowing away. In this position, I'm doing my Rita Hayworth line from my classic pinup pose video. I'm going to drape one hand to the side and let the umbrella fall off into the other direction. When performing on stage, you can definitely act this up more and have the wind pulling you and doing some fun facial expressions. For our final prop today, we have this vintage bag. For our first pose, we're going to have a tighter crop on our body like I have here. I'm going to put my hand under one side. I'm going to make sure I'm elegantly holding the top here. Have a play with your hand and see what looks best. Make sure that it's not looking too awkward in this position. And I'm going to pose around with it in front of me, making sure that I'm not covering my body too much though, unless I'm doing a reveal on stage. And I'm acting like I'm selling this fabulous bag. A vintage bag as a prop is a really fabulous idea, as it can have other items in here that you can reveal out. I once did a bit of a sketch where I was posing around on stage and then all my lingerie fell out of my bag. For our next pose, we're going to go into our classic leg line, drape the bag by our side and make sure the bag is facing forward. I'm going to take the other hand and pop that behind my head, making sure that's my back hand so I don't have this too far forward, and we can come into this pose here and create some elegant lines. Finishing with a bit of a silly pose, we're going to place our bag onto the floor. I'm going to pop one leg up onto the prop. If you had a skirt on, you could reveal some stockings. I'm going to put one hand on my hip and chuck the other one up and pretend like I'm hitchhiking and be a little bit silly with this. Using props is such a fabulous way to give a bit of extra razzle-dazzle to your image or performance. Even when taking your pinup selfies at home, by adding a prop of some type, you can create an extra dimension. I truly hope you've enjoyed today's video and found it a little bit useful. If you have, be sure to give it a like and a comment, as that really helps me out. If you'd like early access to these videos, exclusive content, and to help support me here on YouTube, I do have my glamour community on Patreon. I'd like to thank all my patrons, but especially my VIP glamour patrons. The support you give me truly helps me in creating more here on YouTube. To follow my daily pinup adventures, I post super regularly to Instagram and TikTok. I'll pop a little link here as well as at the end of the video. And to never miss out on my vintage fun, be sure to hit the subscribe button below, turn on those bell notifications, and I'll be seeing you all real soon.